The next report, yep. Yep, I'll take mine as read, but I will just add one extra one in. I did come down for the day at the Dackle, and it was good to see a crowd. And they got me to sort of say a few words at the start, and I got the crowd there to sort of put their hand up to get an idea how far they'd all travel. I sort of said who'd come from an hour away, and most people had their hands up, and even 2 hours, most still had their hands up, and we ended up getting to about 6 or 7 hours because people come from Perth and Tasmania and all sorts of things. So, but that was a fantastic event, and well done to the organisers of that. Councillor Breklov.
I will be on mine as read as well. In saying that, just like Tim, I'd like to congratulate those that were all behind that, the steampunk, what did we call it? Steampunk?
Silverstone High Speed.
Yeah, that to me, that was just the most incredible initiative, and it looked great. I couldn't be there, but I just think that was a really good way to use our Silverstone railway siding, and I hope that there's more of that stuff. Thank you.
Councillor Hicks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As read, but could I, with your permission, leave this meeting in 5 minutes? I have, I'm travelling right now, and I've got to scoot. So with your permission, I'll be signing out in 5 minutes.
That's is fine.
Sorry?
Councillor. Yep, that will be fine.
Thanks. Bye.
Councillor Hobbs.
Yeah, so it's been a busy few weeks, starting off with the Wynnum Hall meeting, which was straight after the last council meeting. I also attended, along with Tim, the Silverstone and District Community Tea and Forum, where they outlined 3 town priorities, and I just thought it was a very good example of a just the whole collaboration, inclusivity, grassroots. They have the Dackle and the Wimmera Steampunk Festival, both on the Saturday and the Sunday. I attended both of those events, and one thing that it just seems to really draw out that one thing that this area can do quite well is niche market. Both of them were excellent events. It was very, very good to see the Channel 9 coverage that we actually got for the gather round, and it's encouraging to see the Anzac service that's the Anzac football thing between Edenhope and Coniva that's going to happen. There is the Coniva Easter footpath sale tomorrow, which is the town's looking brilliant as far as that goes. And on Saturday, I went to the Rec Reserve Master Plan consultation, and I was quite impressed with the consultant, the Community Vibe consultant. She looked like she had done a very good job with genuine consultation. So that was pleasing to see.
Thank you. Councillor Orwan.
It pretty much is read. I have been seeing quite a few people in relation to the pig farm. If I could assess the situation very briefly, I would say the biggest problem is the drop in the underground water level. That's just something every person I've spoken to has expressed. And the other thing that, footy netty started. It's great to get back into our winter sport. Down south, I think we'll be pretty reasonable at the A grade footy. Looking across the table from me, we have a little bit of something that didn't quite work out. And his brother left the field second quarter within 3 minutes of each other. That's why we love this sport. Yeah, that about covers it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sending condolences, I believe we have none. Item 8, confirmation of the previous minutes.
Mr. Mayor, can I please move 8.1, 2 and 3?
Moved on block by Councillor Hicks, seconded by Councillor Breklov. Any discussion required? If not, that is carried. 9, we have no business. 10, we have no notice of motion. Item 11, the councillor full on record.
Moved.
By councillor Hicks. Seconded by councillor Pritlove. Again, that is carried. No deputations, no reports. Item 14.1, the council gift policy review.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Our Governance Manager, Katie Frost, will present this report.
The current council gift policy was adopted on the 17th of February 2021 in accordance with section 138 of the Local Government Act, which requires all councils to have a council gift policy. Policy is now due for review and there have only been minor administrative amendments made. This policy provides guidance to councillors about receiving or being offered gifts in connection with their role as councillor. Without a transparent. It has also been presented held in March with their full endorsement and no changes recommended. Is now presented to council.
Thank you. Councillor Pritlove.
I'm happy to move the gift policy. Thank you.
Second.
Seconded by councillor Hicks. Does the mover wish to speak?
Only that, you know, this is something that's mandated that we have a councillor gift policy, and it basically just keeps councillors from accepting gifts that might sway our decisions at any time. So I'm very happy to support it. Thank you.
Does the seconder wish to speak?
Just a comment that this improves the transparency of council and council operations, and it's important that we as councillors are aware that gift receiving, whilst it's not illegal or banned, we've got to declare it in the appropriate fashions.
Tom?
Yeah, this is a policy that was due for revision. I'd like to thank our council staff who have done this and brought it up today. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Anyone else wish to speak? Mover wish to sum up?
No.
Put it to the vote then. All in favour? That is carried. Item 14.2, the grant policy and guidelines review.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Council has various grant opportunities available to the community to provide different types of support for worthy community activities. From time to time, to ensure the efficacy, the availability and widespread knowledge in the community of the opportunities available, Council reviews the grant guidelines to ensure that they are meeting with community interest, need and sustainability principles. The report presented to Council today specifies a number of changes to 3 separate grants, what we call grant guidelines, one in relation to the community strengthening grants, one in relation to what is currently known as the community support grant guideline, which will, if adopted, be renamed to the non-council owned community halls grant guideline. And thirdly, and finally, the community sponsorship and contributions grant guideline. Our Manager Community Development is here to answer any questions, and perhaps I can as well if there are any, but I commit this report to Council.
Anyone have any questions? If not, is anyone prepared to move anything?
Are we doing all of these as a block or going through them separately?
I'm happy to split it up, or if you'd like to do them all at once.
Council, the
Love it.
recommendation includes all 3, so that would certainly be able to be, I think with Katie's advice, arranged in such a manner that any changes to individual guidelines could be incorporated in any proposed resolution.
Okay, well, I'm happy to move the officer recommendation that Council adopts the changes incorporated in the Council grants policy guidelines attached to this report, but there's a couple of little changes I would like to see. in the first dot point, which is community strengthening grant guideline, I'd like to remove on section 2, in section 2 on page 5, there's a line halfway down or a point that actually, sorry, that's not it. The third or up the top of that on page 5, where it says groups may submit multiple applications per round, but they must be for different projects and cannot be the same application over multiple streams. I would like to see that line removed. Simply, I believe that that contradicts itself further, and it's something that I think may just cause problems going forward. So I think it's really in the initial guidelines rather than to be mentioned there in section 2. So I would like to see that removed. And in the second community support grant guideline on page 7, and I think it's, let me find that. Sorry. There's a section there to remove as well. Here it is. So, page 7, and that is to do with our halls and the building and contents insurance contribution. So dot point the third from the bottom, which says confirmation that the total property sum insured reflects the current replacement value of the insured property. I think that needs to be removed as well. That's all, thank you. So I hope everyone can follow that.
Down minute, they can get that. Yep, you clear with that?
Yeah.
Okay, is anyone prepared to second that motion? It's all Ange, you're seconding. The mover wish to speak?
Look, I just think we do have these, it seems to be that they come up regularly, and I think that they both just add confusion. The second one around the halls, to me, that really would probably just make things a lot more difficult for our community groups. You know, if they've got to get a valuation on their halls, I think that will just add to more expense and just be a complication. So I think they're better off out of the policy. Thank you.
The second wish to speak?
Yeah, I think what we're doing here is fine tuning a grant application to the present times. Like, times have changed in the last 4 years, we'll say. So this is just fine tuning here. Thank you.
Is anyone else wish to speak?
Yeah, I just want to make a couple of comments on this. Number one, thank you to the staff, John and James, and anyone else who's worked on this. There's a significant amount of work that's gone into it. But I do want to just go back to the original intent as to why these grants were put together, because it was about trying to support the community groups and volunteers, not just with funds, but just by reducing that pressure to having to constantly fundraise. And although they are small grants, they do make a big difference to volunteers and may then help them to focus on their activities. However, what I am hearing from the community is that the application process is actually increasingly difficult. And I understand all of that, but I think that that needs to be considered because it can be quite off-putting for people to apply. I'd also like to suggest that council, sometime in the future, consider revamping this into a participatory budgeting type model as part of the grant initiative, so that it does allow for greater collaboration, and we help to connect community groups and then encourage private philanthropy, just to a way of trying to empower those groups, and then that we look at introducing a component of recognising the volunteers. So that might be something you might want to talk about at forum, but it has been trialled very successfully and done very successfully in other countries.
Right, I'll just add in my 2 cents as well then on this one. because we know as councillors those community strengthening grants provide terrific bang for buck. They really do help those little groups out just to get those little jobs done, build a new fridge, put up a small shed, just all the little things they need. You know, we've got bigger grants available, or did have, and it really went a long way to helping them out. It's something that gets spread right out across the entire Shire. We have groups from all areas of the Shire who make advantage of that. The community halls one as well is something that I think is really important as well, because we've got a lot of community halls. They all tell us how much they struggle to keep the doors open and how much of an effort it is. So this is a great thing from council to be helping them pay their public liability insurance, that they can have events then, that they can fundraise, and that pressure is taken off of them. And I think this is a fantastic thing that we've done as a council. So again, I support the motion. Does the mover wish to sum up?
Yes, I will. So yeah, there's no doubt that this is well received. We continually get a lot of applications in these areas, and it's certainly, particularly the community strengthening grant guideline or grant system. We've really done a lot of fabulous things around the communities. So it's one that we have to have. It's one that we don't want to be or to make it too difficult. Being a volunteer, it's, you know, it is often, it takes a lot of time, and we don't want it to hinder people and to stop people from making the most of this and receiving what they need for their little communities. We do know that these guidelines will continually change, and I think that's just part of adapting and moving forward, and we have to work with the communities and what works and what doesn't. So for the time being, we feel we've got it right, but I'm sure we'll be talking about this probably in the next couple of years again. So I'm happy to support it. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I can just make one comment that might add value in the mentioning about the application process that sort of feels a bit onerous. Unfortunately, the days where council can just hand money out to the community, those days are gone. There's extreme scrutiny from the Victorian Auditor, from VAGO on these guidelines. We have to demonstrate that there's a clear process, there's clear guidelines. Council actually follow those guidelines. The end result of handing that taxpayer's money over to somebody, you can actually demonstrate that benefit to the community. So it might feels like a bit of a process, but I think at the end of the day, it protects all of us to make sure that we really spend that money in a prudent and efficient sort of way. And that's why nowadays we just have to have that process in place. I think we try to keep it as the whole process as smooth as possible, and I think the feedback is that we are really getting excellent sort of value sort of out of the community on all these grants. Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to mention that after the vote. So that's fine. No, okay. Because no further debate. We'll put it to the vote then. All in favour? If Richard has already left. Yep. That is carried. On 15.1, planning permit PA 1179.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The council has received an application for the use of the pig farm at 1687 Charon Wombolano Road. Charon. The pig farm is defined as animal production in our West Wimmera planning scheme. So a planning permit is required for this use and for the associated buildings and works. It's also land adjacent to the principal road network, so that's also a trigger for planning permit. Council's planning staff have carried out an extensive assessment of the application, undertaken consultation with the adjacent landowners, held community meetings, and have recommended that council resolve to include notice of decision to grant a planning permit subject to conditions there in the report attached. They're quite extensive. I might point out that the conditions include compulsory conditions supplied to us by referral authorities, and that being Country Fire Authority, the Transport for Victoria, Power Corp, and it would be through Victorian State Government Crown Land conditions. I will throw it open for questions.
Are there any questions?
I could clarify the question about the water licence. It's not a condition of this application, but the applicant or the proponent has indicated they would be applying to GWM Water for a water licence, and it's confirmed that they have received the water licence being allocated to them from GWM Water for 30 megalitres. So that's been provided, or evidence has been provided to us that they've got a water licence.
So even if we don't go ahead with the piggery, they have a water licence for 30 megs anyway.
I believe that's
That exists now.
whether they take it up or not, or they need
Yeah,
will be
yeah.
contingent, I guess, on the outcome of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
decision.
But they have a water licence that's completely separate and nothing to do with this permit. Yeah. Yes, Tom?
That's 30 megalitres per year.
Could that be clarified by any chance?
Well, it's outside of our process.
Yeah.
It's an arrangement between the owner of the land and GWM Water.
Well, so it just seems to be confusion. about
Look,
this.
we can't
Sorry,
debate
that's-
with the public, I'm afraid. That's just not allowed. Yeah, Tom?
I'd like to move a motion.
I think Councillor Hobbs had a hand up for a question first.
Sorry.
Perhaps we'll ask
Sorry.
questions first. Yeah.
So, just wanting to check, is there a process that has been put into place to ensure that the permit conditions are going to be followed?
So the permit is contingent upon them meeting these conditions. If they don't meet the conditions, then I guess council as the planning authority can take
Yeah.
action through VCAT to hold them to the conditions.
Can we only seek performance or can we cancel the permit?
And now we're getting into planning
Yeah, okay.
territory. So I think the first step would be to seek compliance with conditions.
Yeah.
I think that it would be probably a long, well, I would need to take that on notice about where do we
Yeah.
get to the point where we can cancel the permit. Only VCAT can cancel the permit. So it's a VCAT process, seeking us to enforce a condition.
That's perhaps the answer.
Yeah.
Yes, is it?
And Mr. Mayor, I think that's the very purpose of these extensive conditions is for council to make sure that we sort of really try to cover all bases. I mean, and if we look at this report, I mean, I think it starts on page 22 and it goes to page 55. It is really extensive sort of conditions that sort of placed on them. And certainly if they don't comply with those conditions, then there are steps that we can follow. And obviously the officers are sort of put this recommendation forward with all these recommendations. So it's not just approving it, but it's approving it with this whole long list of conditions.
31.
You got another question?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
another question.
Yeah, that's-
So, are you happy or satisfied that do you feel that extensive community consultation has taken place?
I think we've gone beyond what's required.
Yeah.
Statutory required. So the process is normally we receive an application, we notify landowners, and there's a process for them to lodge objections. We took the extra step of having a community meeting, had the applicants, planners, we had the people to come along, talk to them, talk to the proponent, and try and resolve issues before they became like, and I know things were amended as part of the application, as part of that process. So that's probably the common ground we could find is what was done. So buffer areas were increased, additional requirements were offered, adjustments to some of the infrastructure was provided. So those steps happened.
Tom, you had a
Yeah, I'd like to move a motion if I could. That on Monday, the 30th of November, 2026, this application be looked at again after underground water levels have been measured and studied after 2 winters. Thank you.
Yeah, before we ask for a second, I'm just going to ask.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, it's just because we are not the water authority. I believe council can instruct GWM Water to go and undertake certain work. And I believe it's within council's authority to direct them to do something. At this stage, they have already issued the water license, and I think there's other processes that can and should be followed in terms of that issuing of the water license process. But that's not part of council's decision today.
I was thinking of that, but I was also thinking of something else when it comes to the planning process. If someone puts in a planning application, the clock is ticking. What would be the impact on delaying this?
My understanding, if council defers beyond the time allowed, that's a deemed refusal.
That's what I
And a
would
deemed
think.
refusal, then this goes to the
It'd
applicant.
be the equivalent of us saying no today, and they just,
And then we could lose the ability to put any conditions on.
that's right.
So you're saying I can't move that
You
motion?
can move the motion, but it's going to have the same effect as us saying no today, and we could lose any ability to put any conditions on the permits. Because the proponent could go straight to VCAT and get his application approved for a VCAT.
That's an assumption.
I'm saying it's a possibility, yes.
It's a possibility.
We can't predict what VCAT will do,
No,
but
I
I'm just
believe we're
explaining what the process of that.
I believe we're in a situation here where nobody knows what the water level will exist at after 30 megalitres.
Just Tom, you're speaking to the motion. We haven't had a second. Is anyone prepared to second the motion? If not, the motion lapses.
Another question.
Yeah.
Have we considered or do we have other regulations in place that have been considered of, what's the distance of anyone living within a certain radius of something like this that, obviously that's been considered. I'm answering my own question, but, we're hearing about a 250 metre within. Is that within where the sheds will be, or is that within the whole boundary?
Perhaps I might ask the planner to jump in online. So Edwin, if you're online, can you answer that question, or Nicole?
The vote there.
Yeah, I'm just going to have to look up on the in the environmental management plan. There's a figure in there that shows the distances. It's annotated on the EMP. The EMP becomes a endorsed plan on the permit, so it is in fact one of the conditions. So you'll just need to give me a couple of minutes to find it. That's all.
Yeah, I know. Look, I've got a lot of pages here, but I haven't been able to sort of work that out on the maps. but you know,
So it
things
has-
are legal and
250
I-
to the new
So I guess the
town.
answer is it was considered.
yes, it has been considered, and that would be to a boundary,
At
not
least.
necessarily,
Not to a dwelling.
yeah.
So what would be the nearest distance from a pig to a house?
That's what
Under
it
this
was.
proposal.
Yeah, really, I guess, you know, we're talking something different if you've got a few pigs in a yard, you know, in a paddock, but if there's a, you know, quite a condensed in the heart of the piggery, then, you know, things probably build up a bit more, don't they?
This is a rotational piggery too, so there's about 6 to 8 paddocks. They will be moving them on through a 7-year cycle.
I'll come to you soon, Tom. Works. What do you have a question, Tom, or?
There is a mature lady sitting behind me whose brick home is within 50 metres of the strainer post bordering this farm.
Yeah, but we know there is buffer zones going to be put in.
There's a lot in these conditions.
Astra Pork's operations down the road, do we know how close their operations are to other houses? Yeah, please don't interject.
I'm not aware of the other operations down the road. Sorry, Mr.
Sorry, everyone, I can speak to if there's any houses within 200 metres. There is no houses within 250 metres of the proposed pig farm. So that meets regulations under the piggeries.
So that's the planning scheme requires 250 metres.
Right, okay.
Yes, Tom?
They're obviously going to build new fences then. And I'm going to say 200 metres into their paddock.
Yeah, well, we've got the maps that sort of show that. So
Well, the maps don't show these fences 200 metres in. Want to be very careful here. But a lot of people lived in that area for generations. And when this report was put together, they haven't been spoken to.
yes.
Yeah, I'm happy to move the officer recommendation to issue the notice of decision, but to add another dot point or another clause in there to investigate, or that we're not any closer than 250 metres from any neighbouring dwelling slash, you know, yes, somebody's home. I just, you know, that to me just gets a bit close. So I guess if that's, you know, in these maps, I've found that pretty hard to decipher through, but I wouldn't like to support this if there's any individual's residence, place of residence any closer than that. Thank you. Are we able to add another point in there, please, Edwin?
I believe James confirmed there is no, that it already meets that, but we can add it.
Yeah, I would like to see that added. Thank you.
Yeah, that can be done. Sorry. Yeah, I'm James, so I helped assess this application. So yes, this can be done as a conditional permit as a section one plan amended plans required. So yes, it will be done.
Thank you. So that would be a 30-second condition.
Yeah, condition 31 and 31 becomes 32. Yeah, okay. Does anyone to second that motion? Second the motion then. Does the member wish to speak?
Yes, I do. I understand the issues that have come up today, particularly around the water. I do also understand that it is not our responsibility to make decisions around the water allocation. That is purely the responsibility of GWM Water. You know, fortunately or unfortunately, whichever way, that is not our decision. I know they monitor water levels regularly, and obviously this allocation has already been licensed, the 30 megs. So regardless of whether this be a piggery or not, that 30 megs is an allocation that can be used in that location, regardless of what it's used for. So I feel like, well, this is an opportunity that we have a group that have put this application in. Again, I don't believe it should go ahead if the condition isn't in there to safeguard, you know, somebody's home of residence. But I believe we do have to support development within our shire, and I know at times it does become controversial, and I believe the 31 conditions in here, or 32 now, I'll be interested if it gets off the ground, to be quite honest, because when you see what's got to happen here, I think it's been well and truly assessed, and it might just be too hard. And I do worry going forward within West Wimmera, and obviously really in our country, that we have so many rules and regulations that kills nearly everything before they even get off the ground. And I find that really hard for farmers. That's why I'm on council. I'm on council to support our shire, and particularly farmers, to progress and realise what development does for employment. It brings families. There's so many layers, and I actually get excited with new development. I'm not saying I'm totally excited here talking, you know, this one up. Like I said, it may not get up, I don't know, but we can't squash development in our shire because it'll go somewhere else. And, you know, the world has to eat. We have to produce. I don't know where the country goes if we can't keep doing that. I'll be really honest. I hope that we have a change come next month and we can get rid of a lot of rules and regulations, because I think it's going to kill this country. I see it every day, and I think most of us in the room probably do too. So I'm going to support this. Thank you.
Thank you. I agree with what Councillor Britland says. A lot of people come up to me all the time and say, we want jobs. Where's the jobs? What are people going to do? We just can't be turning around development, unfortunately. As much as controversial as it may be, but there is a lot of conditions in this to try and abate any problems. You know, I perhaps would have liked to have seen the buffer zone a little bit further. I probably would have went out to 400 or 500 metres even. But that's as we've moved it, and that is what the planning guidelines say. We need to have legal reasons as well to make those sort of alterations. Anything we do today is going to get challenged at VCAT. It's going to cost us $50,000 in lawyers' fees, and they'll make a ruling anyway. So we need to be doing things that are legal. And I think this is our best chance to put in as many conditions to control the situation as best we can. We've had these before, where people got smart, they took it to VCAT and they lost complete control over it and we ended up in the worst situation. So I think we've got to be careful I think this is the best chance to actually have some development, to get some jobs, and still try to do in a considered way. Does anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? You can't yet. Tom?
Yeah, I'd like to speak against the motion. I think the motion that we've got here on the books in relation to this bit of paper, there's just too many unknowns in it. And water is one of the big ones. As I've said just before, be interesting to see what the water levels measure up. This is underground water levels measure up. November 2026, that's only 18 months ago, not 18 months time. But I can tell you from my experience, I started playing footy out at Wombolano in 1970, and Muddy Lake always had water in it. Sometimes not a lot, but it always had water. We used to duck shoot Muddy Lake. Hasn't had that sort of water in it for 20 years. Correct? Maybe I could be corrected there, but it's a long time since it's had a decent puddle of water in it. I'm saying to you now that the water table is low for that area. We get a few more dry years and somebody's taken 30 megalitres out. Anyway, I've warned you. Thank you.
Councillor Hobbs?
Yep.
You're right.
So, I don't know, I'm just conscious of the amount of work that has already gone in for this and how long it's happened for. I do think 250 metres sounds like it really sounds like it should be more like 500 metres. And you think surely as a good neighbour thing, you wouldn't actually put your pigs so close. It is good to see that it's actually a free range piggery and that it's going to be rotating round. It is an agricultural area and we do need to support business. But yeah, the only thing that really concerns me on it is the fact that we feel that the consultation process has been all those boxes have been ticked. But what we're hearing from today is that, you know, there are still concerns that haven't been, that people still have.
Now, back to,
Is
there any way we can amend that, or there can be an amendment to 350 metres? You know that.
I'm happy to.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. I really am.
400 perhaps?
Well, I don't
don't
know how. I'm happy to even go to 400. I just think that this needs to be that's my biggest concern. Water is out. It's not our. We can't go there. But I really do question the location if we're getting that close to, you know, somebody's home. I really do.
I'm happy to go 400. You want 400?
Yep, we'll do that. Thank you.
So the motion is now that there'll be no pigs closer than 400 metres as a condition. I know we've all spoken to it.
No, I'm happy to wind it up. Thank you. Happy to.
Does the mover wish to sum up then?
Look, I think given, you know, all that we've heard today, and I'm really pleased to have what we have had in here, our gallery, and hearing the concerns. Like I say, the water issue is it's not our area. GWM Water, I'm sure, would have a bore, well, I would hope, a monitor to be monitoring the levels, underground levels. You know, that is their job, and they are the government authority in that area. So, you know, that's not to do with the planning grounds. It's not part of what we're actually discussing. Our job is this planning permit. As far as the distance from somebody's home, that does concern me. So if we can alter that and to 400 metres, I'm comfortable with this permit, to allocate the permit. Thank you.
Put to the vote then, all in favour? All opposed? That is carried. Stealing schedule, none to have any late items of business, confidential reports. Therefore, there are no further items on the agenda. The meeting is closed.
Thank you.
Go up and hang around and have a chat if you like. And Josh is already in the
Great times.
air.